Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about ways to connect and strengthen relationships. And this is not just the relationships with friends, it's a relationship with our spouse and our children and relatives and, all the important people in our lives too. So hopefully you'll learn some principles and apply it to all those different relationships. The reason why I feel this is important is because there's a lot of division in our world, and it's really sad. And I think sometimes we need to get together and really intentionally say, everybody, let's work on this, right? So that we have more unity. The unity can lead to more, heavenly communities and more peace. And so if it's more peace in our community, it ripples out to more peace in the world. And for those Christians out there, this vibrates and lifts the vibrations of the world more, and it helps usher in the second coming, right? And usher in and welcome, Jesus Christ back. So that's the idea. We basically, in my religion, we call this the law of consecration, right? We sacrifice for each other and love on each other, and we all have that commandment to love each other, love God, and feel like we can do better, okay, in lots of ways. So let me share with you some of the ideas that I have, and please join in and come up with ideas of your own. So especially in the business that we're in, it's friend-making business. And sometimes when I tell people, go out and make friends, they don't know what all that looks like. Okay, so let's cover the different areas. We want to make as many connections with humans as possible. And each human, if we make connections on all these levels, you'll find that we have a greater sense of unity. We feel close to each other, even if we have distance between us. I listened to this reel a couple of days ago, and this reel says sometimes two people might be sitting right next to each other and they're yelling at each other, and it's because they have such great distance in their heart. And then there are those people that are, far away, and they can speak gently and kindly because their heart is so tight knit and close anyways, even if they have that physical distance. And I feel like that's so true. Okay. And in your home and in your community, I find that as you work on yourself, and one relationship at a time, you'll be able to, use that same principle over and over again to help strengthen everything else. Okay. All right. So we have verbally, physically, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, and cognitively. Put the LY in that one. Okay. So physically, like coming together, just being physically together, doing activities together, sharing experiences together, spending time together. Sometimes we say, well, I'm busy. I don't want to sit around and waste time. But just spending time together connects people. Okay. We have shared life activities. So we have friends that we worship together. We have friends that we can travel together, even on road trips, just driving together is that physical connection. When you work together, that creates that physical connection, right? Touching, hugging, showing affection, right? The physical touch, even massaging each other, that connects somehow, okay? Interacting regularly, talking, laughing, eating, watching, reading, playing, cooking, something that is just together. So physically being together, that's pretty straightforward, right? One of my friends, she's like, I want to talk to my son. He doesn't open up. And I said, well, do something together with him. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, seriously, just do something with him. And she's like, well, I'm take him out, do something. I'm like, it can be as simple as just going for a walk, just do something with him. And she's like, oh, yeah, okay, I can do that. I said, once you start doing something with him, then he can feel relaxed and connected. Then he'll open up and share with you stuff. You can't just face him, be in his face and say, tell me stuff. What is happening? What are you thinking? So I'm like, yeah, it just doesn't flow when you confront him like that. So physically, Most people are good at that. Okay. In our day and age, children are not very good at it because they're so used to devices and things. But we could teach them to have good people physical skills. Go ahead, Sierra.
I was actually going to say, when you said most people are good at that, I was like, oh, I don't know if I agree with that. um, I have literally felt people feel uncomfortable with the enveloping hugs that I give, because when I meet people and I'm making friends, I'm a hugger, so I hug people to make them feel warm and welcome. And there are people who you can feel just like tighten up, and it makes them very uncomfortable. And,
Mhm.
I agree with what you said. I think not just little children, but even my kids' age, um, they luckily my kids came from me, so I loved and hugged on them all the time. But like there's so many kids their age that just are
Mhm.
uncomfortable with affection.
Yeah.
And um, even my son, it's so sweet. Today he came and sat on the couch next to me and just put his head on my shoulder. And I was like, okay, I'm taking advantage of this. So I was just like, he's 21, I
Yeah.
don't get that very much. So I wanted to share like the sweetest example that I've ever experienced of this. I was like at least 6 months pregnant, probably with my very first. And I had already met this person before, but only once. And she came over to my house, knocked on my door, walked in with a tube of lotion and said, sit down on the couch, take off your shoes. I'm going to rub your feet out. And I'm like mortified, like, no, no, you're not. She's like, yes, I am. It wasn't a question. Sit down. And we sat there and talked, and she rubbed my pregnant feet out, which was like glorious. And we have known each other for 27 years now, and have such an amazing, beautiful friendship. She's the one like I call all the time whenever I need like my sister that I don't have, because I don't
Mhm.
have siblings, but like I call her all the time. And it's such a beautiful friendship. And I'm so very blessed that she took the time to not be afraid to be physical and show love like that toward me. It was just very beautiful.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, we all need that touch. I just say read people, and if they're not used to it, you can connect with them in other ways, and eventually, we can connect physically. But the physical part is important. But yeah, if people are not used to it, don't make them uncomfortable. Have I train people for the aroma touch, and so I train lots of people all over the world. And one time in Australia, I trained this lady, and when it came to her turn to be on the table, because she did the aroma touch on somebody, and then when it's her turn to lay down, before anybody even touched her, the anticipation of just a hand on her, she started crying. And the lady that was like about to work on her, she was like, Jade, I don't know what to do. And I went over and I'm like, okay, just be here in this space with her for a minute, and just let her talk, let her cry. And she's just blubbering about her husband passing 6 months ago, and blubbering about her heart attack 3 months after he died, and then how she had heart surgery, and how lonely she's been, and she finally is feeling better. And she's just like, hasn't had this touch, hasn't had somebody to love on her. So anyways, it's just very healing to touch somebody at the right time. Okay. So like I said, this is the easiest, because we know to say, hey, let's go out for lunch, let's go out and do stuff, and shake hands, and give each other a hug and stuff. That's the easiest. People know how to do that. Yeah, but we want to connect in other ways too. And the friendships that are the deepest are the friendships that have the most connection, okay, in all of these areas. Go ahead, Jamie.
I made a friend through a friend, but I had already known her for since I was young, but we weren't very close. Anyway, we became friends, and she said to everyone, "Look, I don't like people touching me, you know." But then when we went away together and had a chat with her, she ended up crying, and then she's like, "I don't know why I'm crying." And then I gave her a hug and she was okay with that. And so every time I see her, I give her like a very light hug, like a shoulder hug.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, see, you like my hugs. She goes, uh, it's okay when it comes from you. Like yeah, it's just really weird because she's like, I don't know why it feels all right. And then a few months later, we booked a hotel together because we wanted to stay in the city. And then she was feeling sick, and so she was vomiting, and so I was holding her hair, and then she it's just really weird, but she took her clothes up and I was rubbing oils on her chest and stomach and stuff, and she felt really comfortable with that. And then the next day she was like, I can't believe that I undressed and you put rubbed oils on me and stuff. Like, it was just so funny because I guess she's kind of deprived of affection as a child
Mm-hmm.
and became very used to it,
Mm-hmm.
or possibly a defense mechanism.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like you can always break those barriers by creating trust. And yeah, like she enjoyed that. She enjoyed the fact that I took care of her, even though it was like a new friendship.
Oh, good on you, Jamie. Yeah, I'm happy for her.
I
Oh.
know we have a laugh about that story.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. The fact you say we can break the barriers. I know Debbie Scott, she does foot designing for a particular lady and she can't speak. And that lady, when Debbie touches her, emotions arise and, they have an understanding, right, Debbie?
As a matter of fact, I had her today,
Oh.
and she was more animated and more active than she has been in a while. She's at Alzheimer's and she's like full blown, but her husband takes such good care of her. Anyway, that's beside the point. She was like super huggy with me today, and like she'll just lean her head against my head and like put her arms around me, or like wants to hold my hand, and yeah, just so loving today. And it's I mean, she's always knows when I'm there, but it's very interesting to see how she kind of shifts and changes.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we can talk all about that touch, physical touch, and got lots of stories there. But let's go to verbally. Okay, it's connecting through talking, and we can do this. It's having the same shared language to express ideas. I'm said shared language. It's not necessarily English or French or whatever, but we're talking about the verbiage. So sometimes when people use a certain word, sometimes they have a different meaning to you, right? So, as you communicate with each other and you discover that you share the same verbiage to express ideas, then you start making that connection. So when somebody says, this is super great, and then you find out it's not that great, or, and then, you just have that disconnect. It feels like Babylon, like we're not connecting. What are you saying? I don't get you, right? But then when you do find that friend that you can speak very well to, that makes you feel that connection. And even if you don't talk and use too many words, you have that understanding. Even if you speak a different language, as in, French or German, or, you still have a understanding. So we understand each other's meaning when speaking, articulating clearly to convey thoughts and ideas, and regular communication through talking in person or phone calls, text and email. So I know that even though I'm far away from my family, my dad, he says, when I first left for college, he said that I don't care where you are in the world, your heart is always home. So, go do your thing, right? And I really appreciated that because he knows, that we have that same connection. My kids and my mom talk. My mom speaks full on Vietnamese, and my kids, they do English and a few Vietnamese words and stuff, but they understand each other and they love each other, and they just talk and talk. And I feel like, there's this something there that you want to communicate, but somehow through your expressions, you still can express your own feelings and ideas. So yeah, but we do need to speak as a form of connection. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything about that? It's important to keep the relationship alive. Yeah. Okay. All right. So emotionally, connecting through emotions. My Emily, it's one of her big things since she learned this in the New Testament this year, mourn with those who mourn. She's like, why is it blessed are those who mourn with those who mourn? And then she kind of came to me and said, oh, I know, because we can mourn with each other, we can rejoice with each other, we're sharing emotions. And that's carrying each other's emotions, carrying each other through these emotions. So I thought, brilliant, I love that she expressed it that way. So shared emotional experiences, somebody crying, somebody feeling sad about something, and you cry too, right? Somebody joyful and you share that joy, and it kind of magnifies the joy too. Sometimes you're just mimicking their expression helps you feel what they're feeling. So freely and safely sharing emotions and feelings with each other and in relating to each other's emotions. All of us know people who we feel like, oh, I don't want to cry with that person would not understand. But then there's those people that I'm like, I don't know who you are, but I'm just going to cry, ugly cry, and I'm just going to feel happy about this. Yeah. So anyway, Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, I love when people cry with me. I think it's funny because I could just have met them, or I could have known them for a while, but I feel like you can make it comfortable for others to share what they want to share, or you can sort of lead them to that pain. I don't know.
Yeah, I think people nowadays need that release, and they've held it at bay for so long that for me it almost feels like a privilege when they feel vulnerable and comfortable enough to cry. And sometimes they try and stop themselves, and I'm like, no, don't stop yourself, just let it flow.
Yeah.
That's when you add something else to make them can't go back.
Say one little thing and then tips them over. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to share like a friend came over last weekend, and straight away our conversations are like, it's like we just keep digging, when we talk about how she feels about her mom, for example, we try to dig through what the triggers are and what the feelings that came from those triggers. And it's amazing how much we can dig, and we can find out. And in the end, we found out what it was that triggered her, and she realized that she wants to hang on to it for now. A lot of the times we want to help people release these feelings, but even if they're aware of it, they may not be ready.
Right. But then grief needs to be grieved, so they need to just feel it all the way. But it's so good to have a friend. And I think the reason why people like to cry with you guys and with me is because we've already decided that we want to connect to people emotionally. And we've already decided that it's okay and that we really want to connect with people emotionally. So I think people feel that they have permission, and if people apologize, I'll say, it's okay. This is actually a relieving thing. Just keep crying. And this happens a lot to me. It's okay. I'm used to this, because they apologize and make me uncomfortable, but I'm like, I'm crying with you. It's all good. I will survive this. Right. Just comfort them and let them know that this is a good space, and crying is like this emotional catharsis. It's a relief as well. So how can you help people better connect with you emotionally?
Well, there's something you just said that I think is really important that was like ding, ding, ding. I say that sometimes. I just tell them like, you're safe here. Like
Mhm,
this is a safe space for you.
mhm.
So
Yeah, and like Jamie said earlier, these emotions are instructive. Let's dig. Let's find out more why. Yeah. Go ahead, Sierra.
I think sometimes even if you tell them it's a safe space, they still don't feel safe. Um, I have literally found that when you make yourself vulnerable in front of others and you open up and they can see, oh wow, she's not only she's real, but she has real experiences too, and she can relate with me. Okay, maybe I can share with her.
Mhm,
So if you just allow yourself to be uncomfortable and be vulnerable in front of someone, you have no
mhm.
idea how much you could bless their lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you may be finally giving them that opportunity or that door that they've been waiting for so
Mhm.
very long.
I love that. Yeah, that's what we were trying to express earlier too. That if you choose to feel the feels with them, like Sierra said here, is it gives them that permission. So if you sense that they're unsafe, if they're not used to this, it's time for you to share a little bit about yourself so they know that you can relate. I hesitate to share stories about me all the time, but if it helps them at the time, then I share. Otherwise, I just keep on letting them know, making them the center of attention. Because I'm good here. But yeah, so be discerning, and you're right. If there's an opportunity to benefit them when you share your story, then go ahead and do so. You don't have to share all the details, right? You just
yeah.
need to share that I've experienced this and here's kind of what happened. Yeah. Debbie?
I was just gonna say, like not trying to rush them through
Mm-hmm.
stuff is really important. And that like a tell me more.
Yeah.
Like, is there more? Tell me more. And that lets them know that you're patient and you're willing to be there with them, mourn with them,
Mm-hmm.
just allow for that humanity to come through.
I love that. Yeah. So this means that we need to work on ourselves a little bit there, right? And understand ourselves better, to get to that point where we're comfortable helping people emotionally. And I love that Debbie said, give them the time. So I like to book people and then have a little space after their appointment because it may go over, and also for me to recover from that appointment too. I try to only give myself just 2 people a day. Um, and I had this one lady, the poor thing, she booked it like 2 months ahead, and then she anticipated it the whole time. She wrote out and she actually typed it out, not just wrote by hand. She typed out all her questions, and then her experience so that she can use that time wisely. So anyway, she came and she started talking really fast, and she shared. And then I'm like, hey, slow down, it's okay. She's like, no, I want to respect you and your time. And then I'm like, I want to connect with this person emotionally. She wants to heal and stuff. So I said, look, it's okay. I said, I'm so grateful that you're respectful, and I love that. But I have time. I have time. So I just slow down and share with me what you need to share with me. So at the hour, she's like, oh my gosh, okay, that's enough. And I'm like, no, just keep going. You can cry. You can explore this. And then, yeah, she was just so happy that she has that time. But if you guys are at a point where you're like, you know what, we've been crying for 2 hours already, it's a lot for today for both of us, right? You can say, you know what, let's stop here and just go home and rest, and then we'll come back and revisit this. It's okay to revisit it. You don't have to kind of have that big cry fest for hours and hours and hours, because it is a lot and we will have to process it. So just kind of know that you need some time to process all of this, but be in a more, I think, powerful spiritual state, in order to be able to mourn with those who mourn. Okay, so that's our responsibility, but make a choice now to emotionally connect with people. Yeah. And you'll find that people will open up to you, you make friends better. Okay. And once they open up to you, this is a privilege, like Debbie said. I like to kind of follow up with people a little bit, just to texting, how you going for the next couple of weeks, just to see how they've recovered from that experience, and then they've grown from that experience too. Because, you know, they've opened up to you and suddenly, you know, they go home and they'll think, oh my gosh, what did I do? I told her all my deepest and darkest secrets, right? And so you just want to make sure that they're fine. You love them still. They're not bad people, even if you know they've shared all these things about themselves. I think that's a good people skill to have. Anybody have other suggestions or tips there? Yeah. Okay, so sometimes we think we have so many people to help, and where are we going to get the time? You will find the time. You'll have the time for people. It's amazing that you do. And I put it on my schedule, and I just, you know, connect with them. I had a lady, she's like, every time you text me, I just so happy, you know, like, how do you find the time to say hi to me? You know, and I'm like, you're just as important as everybody else. You know, the Spirit of God told me to, you know, and to think about you today. And I was thinking about you, and I kind of felt like this is what I need to share with you. And she's like, I am so grateful. But can you imagine if everybody feels that inspiration and share love notes with each other, you know, through text and just sharing that their feelings? What a more connected place we will live in. Yeah. And I appreciate Debbie Westcott and Debbie McDonough and stuff, and a lot of you guys just randomly texting me just love. And, you know, and I feel like, oh, that just keeps my heart open and filled. Thank you. Yeah. And we can do the same with other people, pass that love on. All right. So emotionally connect with people. Okay. So let's go to cognitively. All right. So cognitively is just connecting through intellect, reasoning, thinking, remembering, you know, shared thinking and reasoning patterns and styles, shared interests and ideas, have similar goals and dreams, desires, and habits. Okay, you know, this is the glue. This is the glue. We like the same things. We like healing and healing. We like the same books, or we like the same topics and interests. That this helps glue us together. So how can you connect more with people on that cognitive level?
So I feel like this one is a really tricky one for me. And I think the biggest thing that has helped me is consistency. And so just the more I meet with them, like for instance, if we have like a monthly book club, if we have something on the calendar that we're scheduled to do, then it helps me to be able to come to the meeting with things to share and be interesting, because sometimes I feel like a boring person.
I'm the same way. I think I'm boring sometimes. Yeah.
Me too. I think I'm boring. Other people are so much more fun than me.
Well, I think you're not. So every time we talk, we've got so much to say. So you too, Sonia. So, you know, we've got a lot of things in common there. Go ahead, Jamie.
I think for me, the easiest thing is to find a shared interest.
Yes.
So, so the friend that came over, she connects with me through food. So in general, she appreciates all of my referrals to food or places that I like to eat. And sometimes I see posts that I think, oh, she would love this, say, Coca-Cola cake that I saw, you know, and then I would flick that over to her, and then we'd have a conversation about it. And I have another friend who, you know, is into like DIY stuff, which I'm not, but I know that's what she likes. And, you know, and I flick things over to her about that. And, you know, I have another one, you know, into meditation and like crystals, and yeah, just have a little file in your head
Mhm.
about certain things that people like, and if you can find something that you have shared, then that's the starting point for me.
Yeah, that's perfect, Jamie. I was going to share that too. But stuff that you can be interested in as well. And if not, then I try to get into it and see how it works for me, because sometimes it's a new thing, and maybe if I delve into it, I might like it also. Jamie's very good at that because one of her strengths is the individualism, right? So she sees what people like, and then she has this very beautiful mental note. We can do this with our spouse. We can do it with our kids. Like my husband is so into sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek, all that. And I had to sit through like several episodes before I got into it. And then I'm like, okay, I see this character now, and I like this character now. But I think put that effort forward, because you never know until you get into it, right? And
Well,
that's
like
outward thinking.
with Ben, he's so techie.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of things you can talk
Yeah.
about,
Right.
gadgets and tech stuff that even I like, which
Yeah.
I would say that's my shared interest with
Yes.
Ben.
Yeah. So I find something shared, but I do love doing that like Jamie does. If I think this person needs an extra TLC and that person only likes food. So like I do that. I text them food stuff and I'm like, oh, this is yummy. Next time we get together, we need to eat this. And she's like, okay, yay. I know a good place. I'm like, okay, she's happy, right? And I'm so happy that we connected that way. Or, another person might like cats, and I'm like, cat video, yay. And so I send that to the person. Doesn't matter, but I enjoy it. I start to enjoy the same things. So just find something that we intellectually can connect to. Go ahead, Sierra.
This one was a really hard one for me with my son. When by the time he was born, I was volunteer coaching again, just at a youth sports association. But 2 years later, I was actually back in a gym setting where I was coaching all the time. So he literally grew up with me coaching all these very few young men and lots of girls, and he was the tag along. Like he went with us everywhere, into every competition and everything else, and honestly most practices, because if my husband was deployed, he was with me. So he the summer before his 9th grade year, we were having cheerleading tryouts. We were setting up for it again in the gym that I ran here in Fort Walton Beach. And he said, Mom, I want to try out. I'm like, for what? And he said, for cheerleading. I'm like, what? And so even though throughout all those years, I put him through t-ball to baseball and then soccer. And I mean, like we went to all his different events. He did in middle school, he did cross country, and we went to all his meets and everything. Even though we were still involved in the stuff that he liked, his interest, I think he just really wanted to connect with me the way that the girls did. And he wanted to be a part of my world. And that really opened my eyes when you have a 9th grader ask you for the first time. And I saw that young boy torture his body, because he was in 9th grade now, and he's trying to do things that the girls learned when they were like 5. And he's torturing his body to get through and do these things. And it was amazing. He did so phenomenally well, but it made me realize I need to connect with him more on his level. And it was so hard for me because he's like so into tanks and guns and like anything military related. And I would literally just let him come and show me and share videos and all kinds of stuff, and do my very best to be as interested as I possibly could be on his topic that he's so excited about, because he has a passion for it. But sometimes you just truly have to have a desire and love for that person to connect with them, even if it's something that you would normally not be interested in learning about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that he sought you out to make that connection. Sometimes our kids don't know what they like, and we introduce them to a few things. And I find that a lot of my kids have a lot of my same interests. You know, and whether it's because we connected, like Siako said, maybe emotionally first, and because they like you, what you like, they've decided to like as well. It doesn't matter as long as we can have an intellectual conversation. You know, I think it's important to get to that place. So if you meet friends, you know, those friends that you can just immediately make friends with, right? Because they're already there with you. They're at that same cognitive level. You know, they're open emotionally as well. You know, they're saying, you know, so many similarities there that suddenly, you know, we're all like together. So we have like a Jane Austen party. So we've had one already and watched Pride and Prejudice and ate some fancy sandwiches with our friends. There's a whole bunch of, there's a few girls, they're sisters, and my girls are sisters, and they got together and they're like, oh, we like the same things. And then we're doing another one, but it's just that. So if you have somebody that you can just talk their ear off and they'd love to hear it because you're sharing the same things, interesting things that you know, they love too. So that's really good. But I feel like it's hard for most people because we're not trained to be outward thinking. Now, I grew up in a home where my parents are like, you know, give back, show respect, you know, and do what other people are interested in. And so my mom, she recognized this in people. If this person likes this food, that person likes this other thing, she'll keep a mental note. And I think, you know, Jamie picked that up, and I learned that too from my mom. But yeah, you can actually write down in a file. I have a friend that is an influencer, and she's like, I just have a big book and I just write down a file on each person. This person really likes this topic. I can talk about this thing with her, you know, and then so you're not insincere, right? But you can have a conversation where you guys are connecting in that way. We really, really need to work on that outward thinking and connecting cognitively too. So, you know, find out what you have in common. And that's why I don't find people boring, you know, unless they don't want to have any interest or anything. But like, I know Cheryl likes cooking and she's very good at that. And I made my first sourdough bread and I was so happy. I accomplished that and I had to share it with her because I know she'll just celebrate with me, you know, so just stuff like that. So, you know, just put a little bit of effort in thinking that way. Like my friend, her son, she's like, oh, my husband pushes him so much and he's you know, doing golf and he gets stressed and my husband push. And I said, why is he doing golf? And she's like, because we paid lots of money for it. And I said, why? And she just couldn't give me a good answer. Oh, the kids need to be active, they need to do something. And I said, why is he doing that, you know? And she couldn't. And I said, I can tell you why. He's told me why, you know. She's like, okay, tell me. And I said, because it's his time with his dad. It's his time with his dad. So it didn't matter to him what he was doing. It's just his time with his dad. And she was like, oh, okay. Yeah. It's just his opportunity to connect. Yeah. Alrighty. Anything else, guys, about cognitive? Yep. So this is a skill we can develop, guys. Okay. So there's plenty of things that we could connect with. All right. Psychologically, connecting and aligning your hearts and minds, shared core values and standards, merging ideas and creating a new product together. All right. So when you create an event together, you know, Cheryl Harris and I, we put our heads together and we did an advanced energy balancing retreat, you know, and she's going to do this part and I'm going to do this part. I mean, that connects us, okay, because, you know, two heads better than one, and then we create a new product. You know, when we're doing things like that together, it just helps us grow, right? You can include each other in your dreams and plans. So in my head, as I travel the world, I'm like, okay, well, I want this person to come with me, and this person, I'll make sure this person understands, you know, that we want to do this together. And supporting and encouraging each other psychologically, right? So if she wants to build this dream, you know, I sometimes, you know, in my head, I'm like, I love that. I want to do that too. I want that to be part of my dream too, right? And so you have like a mind and heart connection. That's just more than just we have this thing in common we like. This is like, coming together and merging a little bit deeper. Okay. Any comments?
So is this advanced energy balancing thing happening soon?
Well, we did that a few months back.
Did it
Yeah.
already?
But how far are you from us? Because this Saturday we have an event.
Like 6 hours, maybe 7.
Oh, yeah.
But I could do it like if I have
But
some.
that's not too far to drive. You should come back and visit.
We have a literal language of the body event for 5 hours this Saturday at a beach house.
Your mom's down here, right? It's Mother's
Okay.
Day weekend.
Oh, that's true.
Just text me the things.
We'll
and I'll-
send you some info. We'll send you some info. Go ahead, Cheryl. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a collaborative thing. When we have beautiful ideas and whatever, we can actually choose to adopt those ideas and the visions and then go with it. And then suddenly we're a part of that vision with each other. So, for the last 5 years, I've felt very humbled that my husband has sacrificed his time to build my dreams. And one day I said, like, I'm so sorry, I'm taking so long, you editing these books and helping me all, with all the website and everything. And he's like, Jay, your dream is my dream too. It's okay. It's not like you're going on your own and I'm just supporting you in this way. It's like, it's my dream too. And I thought, oh, thank you so much. And I think to myself, well, I watch my friends and I'm like, their dream of mending their family and healing their family, that's my dream for them as well. So we share that connection. So I just feel like with each other, we can make that choice to say, tell me your dreams and visions. Debbie Westcott's very good at this. If people come across her or encounter her, that's what she's going to do. She's going to dig into your soul, right? And ask you those questions like, what are your interests? What do you like? What is just, and then they share. And then, of course, when we find that, we want to support them in that way, So, that's why when you just try to be a friend and help people out, if they don't have these ideas and share their hearts and share their vision, it's hard for us to connect with them psychologically. Yeah. Okay. This is good, easy to do with your spouse, I hope, and do it with your children. My children actually, they've merged a lot of their dreams together. So we have some doctors and we have one that wants to be a lawyer and another one that wants to do business management, and they just want to help each other create this movement in the world. Why not? Yeah. Can we build that way? I know my uncles and aunts, they've helped each other like that. Another thing too is like, if a friend has a business, you want to support that business. My auntie, she does catering, and my mom's like, oh, my sister does catering, and just have her make you egg rolls and and just supporting each other. And so there's lots of word of mouth spreading news and support there. It's just so beautiful as a collaborative, consecrating our hearts and minds to each other. You can do that for your children, do that for your spouse. Yeah. It's his thing, this is my thing. It's just all our thing. As I mentor with people, I try to dig into what it is that they really want, and I try to adopt that too. I'm like, good, I want that for you too, if that's what you feel like you want. I have a friend that she's like, Jade, we're going to do a thing in this other place and then in Bali and stuff. She lives in Ohio. She's we met a few times, and she's like, I visualize that you're there with me and helping out and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm there with you. Just let me know. Okay. Any comments?
I think about like Cheryl Morse and I
Mhm.
doing retreats together, and they have just a hint of a different flavor than other retreats
Mhm.
that I've been to. And that it's really fun to realize you can put your personal touch,
Mhm.
on something and know that um like it's still like very effective and very aligned to
Mhm.
what the whole purpose is in the first place.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
fun.
I love that. And I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like I could fully, you know, feel comfortable sending people your way and say, look, these girls, they can be selling their idea, sharing and teaching you the exact same things that I
Yeah.
will. And they'll put their personality in. You probably have lots of music and lots of fun things, games, go for it, just have fun with them. Right. But I feel this, like I can speak for you, you can speak for me in
Yes.
energy, right?
Yeah.
I can't do that with everyone, but I feel like that because we're so psychologically together,
Mhm.
and there's times that we like come up with these ideas and it comes up so fast. Like we were doing this, let's collaborate and let's share a message, and then why don't you do this and I do this, and let's make that topic about friendship. I was thinking the same thing too. That's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
We want to
Aha, aha, aha.
yeah. So how can you guys develop that more?
Well, I think first you have to share like what you believe, like
Mm-hmm.
what are the things that you're passionate about and what do you value and
Mm-hmm.
like what's important to you. You got to be able to share that with other people and then they'll be like like
Yeah.
that hits them in their heart and they're going to be like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that
Be clear on your
she's
values.
my kind of people, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So take some time and be clear on your values. Even ask your children. Like one time I sat down, I said, kids, what are the values that we share? And they're like, oh, and they're like spitting it out, and all of us are just calling it all out. Is we haven't really articulated it, but they know it, and so it's really helpful to speak it out. Yeah. And standards. What are your standards? So as a friend, when you verbally talk and cognitively connect, eventually it'll come out. But you can always intentionally ask about that. So, what are your values concerning this topic and this topic and this topic? Right? Oh, I think that too. Oh, I never thought about that. But yes, I will adopt that too. That makes sense to me. Yeah. So,
yeah, I think I mean your family is very unique, Jade, but I don't know if many of us grew up like really identifying what a good friendship looks like and the things that we appreciate from other people in our friendships and that we are also willing to reciprocate. So
mhm,
really clarifying that
mhm,
and then even being able to say that to a friend
mhm,
who is emotionally spiritually mature, saying, you know what, this is what a good friendship looks like to me. Like I'm gonna show up for you,
yeah,
but also I love this about my close friends is like if you have to go off the phone really quick, it's not a big deal, right? It's like, hey, we'll catch up. I gotta go right now. Okay, bye. And no one's hurt or offended,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Or if I mean, anyway, it's just examples like that. Like we get to choose how we feel about things. And I think no believing that the intent of the other person is good
mhm.
and right goes a long way
Yeah.
to that shows our own emotional spiritual maturity. So
Yeah. So if you're connected in all the other ways, you're very
Mhm.
understanding. If you're
Yep.
like, oh, sorry, gotta go, bye, and
Yep.
no one's hurt. So yeah, take your time to write down your core values and standards, guys,
Mhm.
and articulate it. So it's really good because once you're really good at this, you'll meet people that are clear as well. So recently, the last few people that I'm working with, this one girl, we were sitting on the beach together just last week, and she was saying to me, Jade, I feel like we need to do something together. I feel like we need to go to, she speaks Spanish and she's got all these skills. And I said, me too. And she's like, we need to help heal people. And I'm like, oh, me too. And then she says, Jade, when I make my mind up to do something, what I say, I really mean it, and I don't go back on my words. I really, love the fact that I could, say something and just mean it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, where did you come from? This is me, golden word kind of person. I like repeating this over and over to my kids. And she's like, no, this is me. And so we're like, see, already, and we've only known each other for, less than 6 months, and we've already hit that psychological level, right? So if you know clearly your core values and standards, then it's so much easier to communicate with others. And if people haven't adopted a clear value and standard, they're going to be inspired to, right? So I'm going to invite you guys, if you haven't, do so, and then share with each other so that we know where we stand, okay? And we can make that connection. I do this with my children, and I back it up with scriptures. And I say, we have this standard because here's the verses. And this is why we have this. It's not being ridiculous. It's not being strict. I'm firm in faith. Yeah. See, I had a list of things that I was helping my friend with. Here, let me pull it up. So I said this to her because we had to clarify, and she was like, "Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me." So I said, sometimes we have to, not have to. Sometimes we outgrow people because we continue to grow and people remain the same. And so she's like, I just feel bad. So I said, okay, your friend might think that you're strict, but you're firm in faith because of the straight and narrow path. And you have high standard because God has high standards for us and he has ambition for us. And you have courage to take risks because you want to, have faith in action, right? So, we just clarify. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's you too. Okay, good. Okay. All right, so if you can explain why you think the way you think, that is helpful to connecting to people. Okay, and last one, spiritually. Okay, connecting spirit to spirit means you don't understand each other without words, right? Just understand their heart. Shared love for God and spiritual sacred things. I have friends that are Muslims. I have friends that are from other Christian denominations, and because of their great love for God, we connect right away, and it's like we speak different languages sometimes, like my friends speak Arabic, but we share enough of the language to go, oh, I love you so much, and I can say, hey girlfriend, your knee hurts, I know why, because you're not praying as often as you need to. She's like, oh, you got me, Jade. Yeah, and go ahead and do so more. Be more intentful and intent about it, and like, oh, thanks for the reminder. You're awesome. Okay. Shared spiritual experiences and convictions, and this is how we connect. If you have a struggle or whatever, you can say, guys, let's get together. Let's pray about this. We pray for our friend who has, this health problem, or with my kids, we're like, oh, we need to pray for this one thing. Let's just kneel down and pray. And then when the answers come and the solutions, the blessings come, you say, look, yay, it happened. And so there you go. You've got a beautiful experience that you've shared together. And then you have this conviction, this testimony, right, that you share with each other. We bear our testimony to our kids a lot, and understand each other on that spiritual level. This person really desires to be good. This person really desires to be obedient. Okay. And have similar spiritual level of development and progression. So sometimes when we say, I feel like God wants this from me, I'm like, yes, been there. I know what you're talking about. Right? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else you want to share? Do this with your children, guys. Yep.
Jade, I kind of, these aren't my words. On our team elevation, Maddie had written in today, and I just really loved what she said. And I think it's fitting here with the friendship that we're talking about too, because sometimes we have to bring ourselves to like the moment here and now. And even though everything might not be perfect, or we may be struggling with something, or we have big trials, if we focus on the positive, I just love it. Her whole message was super positive. She said, I am thankful for what I have. I embrace laughter and fun. I am in a state of contentment. I embrace the beauty of the present moment. I am surrounded by love. Things are unfolding for my highest good. I see things as they actually are. I let go of the struggle. I am moving beyond my inner limitations.
Mhm.
I am getting everything I desire. And even though it may not be like in an instant, in the time that you want, um, I mean, there's several goals in my life that I have that I haven't reached yet. And I'm 52. So I still have things that I'm striving for. And even though they haven't already happened, even though I realized my desire for them to be part of my life years and years ago, I'm still trying to keep that. It doesn't happen all the time. I have my moments where I break down, but I'm trying to keep that positive, letting go of the struggle and moving beyond your inner limitations. And I loved what she said, what you were just saying just then just made me remember that. So I pulled it up really quick. I think it's very fitting.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Yeah, and sharing scriptures and sharing spiritual thoughts and stuff is a beautiful way to connect. And this is why I'm bringing this up, because sometimes people don't want to go there, or some people, like a friend of mine, she's like, I don't want you to cry, as in like, I don't want to express emotions with you, and so can you see how limiting it is to be more closely connected to that person when they're like, I just want to talk about surface level stuff here, and like, don't go any deeper with me, in any of these areas. Just be here, have lunch with me, and that's it. So
I used to be very nervous about especially posting on social media anything that had the remotely littlest to do with spirituality or God or any, like I used to be very, very self-conscious about doing that. So I was literally holding back my feelings or my thoughts or whatever for the day. And I wouldn't share them because I didn't want a backlash from people who didn't approve or who would judge me or whatever, for whatever reason. And now I just don't even care. Like I know that saying, "Oh, I don't care," is kind of, I don't know, it comes across sounding bad.
You're not affected by it. You're not worried about it.
I'm not affected. If they don't love that about me, then they're not the right people.
Yeah.
And it's okay if they don't love that about me. I'm just totally not
Because
affected by it.
You know who you are. Yeah. So the meeting I had with an Indian person recently, because they checked out all of my posts, they checked out my website, and even though he's not Christian, he's like, I love Jesus and I love talking about feelings and I love all these. You knew who I was, and he's like, I love how you do things, and I feel like I know you, and I want you to be my upline. And I thought, oh, okay, thanks, because you are honest out there. And big deal. If people are upset, get their panties in a twist, that's okay. If they're rude, just delete it. That's okay. But it doesn't mean I answer to them. If I'm inspired to do something and I'm not trying to offend people, that's all I need to do. Okay, just be, honest. And I do not edit God's words. If I feel like God's telling me to do something, I just do it, and just, let the chips fall where they may. Of course, there's going to be a division, because if you choose to stand in the light, the people in the dark will be offended anyways, no matter what you do. But you need to make a stand. So, yeah. I'm going to stop the recording now so you guys can feel free to share.